We recently finished our 24-day cruise and headed to Yume for a short stop to visit friends, but we'll give you that update at the end because this video is about our stay at Tucson, Arizona, where we did some exploring of that area. But we couldn't do all that we planned due to the weather and an unforeseen incident that left us sheltered in place for a couple days. We stayed at the Voyager RV Resort, which is in Tucson, Arizona, and was really nice. Highly recommend it. But we were there to explore and meet up with Jim and Paula, a couple we met over 5 years ago on the road when we first got started full-time, and we finally coordinated meeting in the same park. Let's take a look at what we all did. So we're in Tucson, Arizona still, and I'm going to show you a bunch of things that we've actually done while we're here. And we just finished at Old Tucson. It's like a theme park, and it actually started, from what I understand, it started as a studio set. They literally built a Western town, and they kept it going, so they actually still use it. And today, back further, there was some kind of filming going on too. But it was really cool. So this is another Tucson thing. If you're in the area, check it out. We are like one of the last ones to leave here. Even though this is the intro to this, we're actually on our way out. Old Tucson, formerly known as Old Tucson Studios, is an American movie studio and theme park just west of Tucson, Arizona. It was built in 1939 for the movie Arizona by Columbia Pictures, and it's a replica of 1860s era Tucson. The workers actually built more than 50 buildings in 40 days, and many of those structures are still standing. Old Tucson is a Western-themed attraction that was the filming location for more than 400 feature films and TV shows like Gunfight at the OK Corral and Little House on the Prairie TV series, and the film Three Amigos. In 1995, a fire destroyed a lot of Old Tucson studios. Buildings and costumes, memorabilia were all lost in the blaze. Fortunately, there were no human casualties. One of the things that was lost was the only copy of a short film about the history of Old Tucson Studios, which included rare behind-the-scenes footage.
One thing that Sue and I are constantly thankful for is how easy it is to have a YouTube channel. I mean, you just have to have a microphone, a camera, a handle, you're good to go. Imagine this back in the day in the West, and you were running your YouTube channel, and you had to carry this thing around on your back, and you're like, you know, trying to capture something without somebody feeling, you know, like on the spot.
You're in their face.
Yeah, and then keep a track of all of the microchips and stuff that you'd have to be stored in.
Chips.
Wow.
You're mixing errors.
Look at this, looks like a toilet paper roll.
It was opened to the public in 1960 as a theme park, with historical tours offered about the movies filmed there, along with live cast entertainment featuring stunt shows, shootouts, and can-can shows. Those were pretty amazing and entertaining. All right, we're in for another show here. So we've got another show in here. This is kind of cool. We're getting ready for the stunt show, and we kept smelling this popcorn. So, of course, I had to get some. So they've got this snack place, ice cream and popcorn. It looks like a cool little place just to kind of hang out and sit, too. Cheers. One show after another. Look at Mark. He's like at a movie.
You know, I was having a good time here today at the Old Tucson Theme Park till I saw this. And it reminded me that I didn't do my taxes yet this year.
After the fire in 1995, it took 20 months to reconstruct the damages, and it once again opened in 1997. Film production at Old Tucson was seriously affected by the fire, but they kept adding more buildings, getting a more authentic feel to the town. Then more movies were being made, and they added events and started thriving again. But then in 2020, historic Old Tucson was shut down because of COVID and then reopened in October of 2022 under new management. Talk about the ups and downs, but they kept it going and they're doing well. And if you get hungry on your visit here, they do have a cowboy cafe. This is where we ended up meeting Scott and Ann. It's like we're closing it down once again. We're one of the last ones in, let's call it the museum. And as always, you exit through the gift shop. This was a fun day with a lot of movie-making history. And if you haven't been here yet, check it out if you're in the area. We're still in Tucson, and it's another exploration day. We're checking out another really interesting place. It's the Tucson Botanical Gardens. So we are going to check this place out with our friends Jim and Paula. Right, I'm looking behind us. I'm going to like this place. Combo of plants and art. Wow, can't beat that. Oh, no way. So I'm hearing water. It's like, what is that? This fountain is actually, it looks so real. Wow. All right, we just walked in and I'm loving this place already. When we entered the parking lot, I noticed this sign and the huge Legos. There were 2D and 3D artwork made from Legos on display throughout the gardens. Amazing. Oh my gosh, these are all Legos. The detail in some of these Lego sculptures that they have around is amazing.
That's probably my favorite one. This is second favorite here.
All right, Mark's got a second favorite one over here. Oh, Jesus. Well, of course you do.
Well, and Paul would like it too. Yeah, it's the right color. This is actually a John Deere lawnmower.
Right, took us about 10 minutes just to get into the gates. Of course, we're admiring everything right down to the gates. They do have a butterfly project. So here we actually have a butterfly and orchid pavilion that you can go in and check out all the butterflies flying free. Need a little help there, mister? Ooh, it is warm in here. So, fascinating talk with a girl who is here. She said that once a week they get a shipment of chrysalis in here because the butterflies we're going to see in here only last, on average, about 2 weeks. Some of them go up to 7 weeks. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. Oh, this is cool. So they've got the food here. You can kind of get them captured. Ooh, look at that orchid. This looks like the box they bring in every day to bring the chrysalis, the ones that just came out of the chrysalis. So like I said, this garden is also filled with art. These benches were beautiful, but there was one that inspired Jim, who's a yoga enthusiast, and he striked a pose. And of course, we had to join in.
Woo! All right, you do your pose.
I can't even get up here.
Can I give you a hand?
Yeah. What?
No, you're not going to run and jump.
This is my pose. You might want to do this.
I'm going up this way. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Oh, it's just a little. Okay, I got it. So there's this guy that had a garden. Let's go check it out. So, Jim, pro tip is when you come to the herb garden, make sure that you go to the bathroom, because that sound alone will be rough. And this garden here is super expensive, just in case you can't tell, because, well, it's worth a mint.
All right, so I just found this plaque in English also, so I was able to figure it out. It's actually a garden that's dedicated to the neighborhoods of the Tucson area, and plants and what you would see, hence the creativity in where they put their plants. All right, this part of the garden, I'll find out what it's called. I think I have a special place in my heart for it. My mom was an avid gardener, and I've seen things that she would do. For example, you got a sink, don't throw it away, put a plant in it. Got a bird cage? Do something with it, put it in your garden. So she would take like my brother's old football helmets and put a plant in it. She could have planted this. It's time for Edna's Eatery. Looks like we've got this whole outdoors to ourselves. So it looks like you go in, grab a menu, and they'll take care of us from then. All right, also in this building, get a little history of the Porter family. And they are the family that lived on this property. And I think the owner was Bernice. The wife was Bernice. Edna from the eatery is actually, from what I read, was one of their friends. But they lived here and they were developing it. And Mr. Porter died. And Bernice still lived here. And she lived in this house. And she wanted this garden to be preserved. So when she died, the family donated it to the city of Tucson. Lucky them. And as always, you exit through the gift shop. This was a really great garden with a lot of artwork. I loved it and recommend it. So we heard about this place from Brendan and Lena. We're going to have breakfast with them tomorrow. And they said, you really got to go there. They just explored it. Okay, so I got the garden wrong. Brendan and Lena went to and suggested the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. So I planned on doing that another day, but you'll see why we didn't. Anyway, going to the botanical garden was awesome. Plus, this is a bonus day because we heard right down the street is a Japanese garden, and we're walking. All right, we have arrived. 3-minute walk. This garden isn't really about the plants. It has intimate Japanese courtyard-style gardens on 2/3 of an acre. It has gardens for contemplation and feeling the serenity, with examples of Japanese garden styles like a Zen contemplative garden.
You know, when I look at all this gravel, before I put my concrete driveway in, I had artwork and I didn't even know it.
A stone and gravel garden representing the sea and islands.
I'm waiting for the rock concert to start.
And a tranquil strolling pond garden. And then I really like the bamboo garden. Each garden is a place to be at one with nature and with oneself. So we kind of lost Jim and Paula. And Jim just came up and he said he just got tickets for all of us to go to the tea ceremony in about 45 minutes. I'm excited. Are you excited, Mark?
Well, yeah, I'm going to get raspberry tea.
The tea ceremony is a cherished ritual involving the preparation and presentation of powdered green tea in a highly stylized manner. There's a host and a guest wearing traditional Japanese kimonos specific to the ceremony. And they demonstrate how tea has been prepared, served, and enjoyed in Japan since the 12th century. Watching the preparation was like a meditation. Every move was so deliberate, smooth, and elegant, like watching a dance with hands. After the guest was served, we, the audience, were served sweets and tea also. That was a really cool experience. And here you can see them preparing our tea in the back. There is a question and answer part after the ceremony where we talked about their kimonos, and someone asked how long it takes to learn the ceremony. They said it could take up to 20 years to perfect it. Wow. So I decided I was going to check out the Sonora Desert Museum too, but we had a sudden halt to our plans. We received an emergency alert one afternoon. There was a hazmat release, so we had to shelter in place. A truck went off the interstate and tipped, releasing nitric acid. Unfortunately, the driver didn't survive, and the interstate was shut down for quite a while. Plus, we are within that 1-mile radius of the accident. Then at 5:45 p.m. that same day, we were told the shelter in place will remain for about 12 hours. But by 8 o'clock p.m., the hazmat is contained and we can resume normal activities. But again, we were abruptly woken up the next morning at 4 a.m. Problems with the cleanup overnight, so shelter in place. By Wednesday evening, the radius of sheltering is now 3 miles. People have been evacuated, but that was on the other side of the interstate. Lucky for us, it was extremely windy and we were upwind. It's about 8:30 in the morning. We're in Tucson, Arizona, and this is what we're waking up to. Not exactly a great day for our planned bike ride temperature-wise, so we decided to wait until tomorrow. But I'm telling you, this has been the windiest winter we have ever had. Tucson this year, 2023, is crazy. I swear it's getting worse. And this is probably the second time since we've been here that we pulled the full slide in. It was just shaking too much.
33 inches of interior space we
Lost.
lose. Thank God I'm thin. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, look at the latch up there, right?
So even though the weather kept us from checking out the bike trails in the Tucson area, we didn't cancel our plan to go to Biosphere 2. So I just want to take this moment to mention I just finished editing this video yesterday, and I came across this video in my research, the Starship Earth. It's a documentary about the whole Biosphere 2 and this creative group in the 60s that were a theater group that were always looking for an adventure, trying to be minimalist, live off the land, and the unlikely union of them with this billionaire Texas oil guy. And it was so interesting to see in this video how everything evolved and grew to what it became and some of the problems they had. But when we were done watching it, Mark and I both agreed that we wish we would have seen this video before we actually went to Biosphere 2. I think it would have been a lot more engaging, even though it really was just on its own. So this is our pro tip. If you're going to Biosphere 2, make sure you check out this video before you go and get a little bit of the background and how it was all built and came about. It was really good. All right, back to the video. Biosphere 2 is now owned by the University of Arizona, but it was built in Oracle, Arizona between 1987 and 1991, and it cost about $200 million to construct it then.
So the parking lots actually are big enough if you get here early enough that you can park in a situation where you can get in and still get out while you're still hooked up.
All right, looks like this is going to be our first destination on our tour. We're doing an audio tour that we downloaded their app and just scan the QR and they give you what you need. We also added on the lung tour. Mark was super excited.
Geological processes produced the physical templates that allow for experiencing.
So before we start exploring this area, we have a private tour. It's a small tour of the lung. We're going down into the mechanical guts.
Okay, I'll admit to being like a little kid. I was so excited. I didn't want to miss the lung tour, and we had to be at stop number 106, so that means 101, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We just walked by, so we got to go back and do this. But finally, I'm in the Biosphere 2, ready to go behind the scenes. And this is paradise for a mechanical engineer. Of course, it would have been better if I would have been here when I was 22 rather than 70. But nonetheless.
Says it's good for a mechanical engineer. I'm in heaven. This is all nature.
The plants?
See.
Yeah.
He's down below. I'm up above. It's the yin and yang of Mark and Sue.
So you always talk about the yin and yang. We
Yes.
should have been assigned as a team to be on here. We could have taken care of each other mentally, physically, and you do the plant stuff and I do the mechanical stuff.
We could have done that.
We could have had a different channel.
missed
Our
our
journey
chance.
in Biosphere.
We missed our chance.
Might be a little damp down here too. It's like a submarine.
So we just had a really good talk about just the basics down here, and like the crew that had to know everything, a little bit of everything anyway. So they actually do collect the condensation. Whatever water is in here stays in here, at least for the 2 years. Yep.
I'm excited, honey. We're going into the lung. Wow.
And both of us have to.
Thank God I'm flexible. Look at this thing.
This 30-minute guided tour took us to one of the lungs that regulated the air pressure inside Biosphere 2's glass enclosures. During the day, the heat of the Arizona sun would cause the air inside the facility to expand. In order to avoid the large pressure difference that this would create and blow out glass, Biosphere 2's creators included 2 giant hemispherical lungs. As the air inside the facility expanded, it would flow through underground tunnels into the lungs. Each lung contained a large weight hanging from a rubber sheet. As the air expanded during the day, the increased pressure would raise the weight into the air. In the evening, as the air cooled, the weight would pull the rubber sheet back down and push air back into the facility, thereby equalizing any pressure difference. Those darn engineers. Biosphere 2 was designed to contain all of the soil, water, air, animals, and plants to be a self-contained living system capable of supporting 8 humans without help from the outside, and to demonstrate the ability to work successfully as a closed ecological system to support and maintain human life in outer space as a substitute for Earth's biosphere. So it has several biomes. So apparently this is the living quarters here in the bottom, and then that section on top is the library. And you get a 360 view of everything up there, windows all the way around. So in 1991, the first Biospheres 2 cruise mission began. They were expected to be isolated for 2 years, but in less than 18 months, it was clear the system was really out of balance. Oxygen concentration dropped from 21% to 14%, and barely enough to keep the crew functioning. It was learned later that the humans were being suffocated by the biosphere's cement walls. The concrete walls ate up oxygen and left humans and animals inside with barely enough to breathe. To solve the problem, some members of the Space Biosphere Ventures management team pumped oxygen into the building without disclosing their actions publicly. When the truth came out, the mission lost credibility with scientists. Some Biosphere staff have said that the failure was because of the lack of transparency, not the lack of oxygen. Oh, we're outside now, and it's raining. Okay, we're going to go in and join the plants now. This is what I'm waiting for. Oh, is it warm in here? This is what I'm talking about. So this is the coastal fog desert. Let's get some information on this one. After a second mission was folded midway through its duration in 1994, and many other changes, and Many successful research and lessons learned from this experiment, including the one that revealed warming oceans are killing corals. The University of Arizona took ownership of Biosphere 2 in 2011, and many innovative projects are being done here now. After listening to our audio tour, very informative. So this ocean actually had living coral in it, and after the 8 left, it wasn't maintained real well. The coral eventually died. But during their experiment, they were able to change the CO2 in the water to see how it affects the coral, change the acidity of the water, see how it affects it, and no surprise, it affects it. And that, I have to say, is why I love visiting cities that have universities. There is so much progressive, innovative things happening.
Right. And once again, you'll learn on our channel only things that we pick up on. For instance, they didn't say this in the tour, but I'm pretty sure Gilligan's Island was shot here.
Oh, you recognize that beach?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Where's the ship? All right, I guess that's about it. We just finished the rainforest. I loved it. This place really is a good example of the yin and yang of Sue and Mark. I was so excited to go in to see all the plant areas, the rainforest and the ocean area and all that stuff. Mark was like a little kid when he came out of the lung.
Well, and I think that there's people that, if they come here or they don't come here probably, and they read about it and they form their own opinion, and they go that it's just a tourist attraction now.
It's back
and
up.
It's
starting to rain. We're
phony
going
baloney.
undercover.
The thing is that as we went through some of the buildings and some of the plants that are no longer in there, like when we were in the rainforest, they said they started out with 400 species and they're down to 100 now. And they said, well, that was part of the plan. Go in with 400 and see what you end up with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure during the experiment, they ended up with a lot more than they have now. But the mission to keep this place afloat from a profitability standpoint so that it doesn't get plowed into the ground, the university has to partner with companies and different corporations that need answers, or they have their own experiments that they need to do, and that's what they're doing. They're rededicating and recultivating the whole mission in a lot of the buildings, and let's hope that they keep this place going, because you aren't going to talk too many other billionaires into building a place like this, because
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, because they spent $300 million building this back in a day.
Yeah.
You'd have to spend $30 billion to build it in
Wow.
today's dollars, probably.
Yeah, but it's nice that they are still using it. So
Right.
if you're in the Tucson area, raining out there again. See, we've got cover here.
Yeah.
If you're in the Tucson area, I recommend it. Definitely recommend it. Like I said, if I weren't an art teacher, I think I would have been a science teacher, earth science, all
Right.
the stuff here.
And I think
Cool.
it should be turned into a harvest host. This would be a great harvest host location. Come on, somebody contact.
Let's do it, yeah. All right, that's it for Tucson. And like I said in the beginning, we were in Yume first, and we have a couple shout-outs.
Fourth, I think.
February 4th, 2023. And we're back here in the Yume area. We're at the West Wind RV Golf Resort. We love this place because it's super affordable, and it's really a nice place.
It's active. They
Yeah.
have a lot of things going on here.
It's got a great restaurant, and it's kind of cool for us today because we're going to be having lunch with Bob and Pearl from the channel Next Exit. And we've said in the past, and I want to say again, if it wasn't for that channel that gave us the confidence to keep going and had given us a real boost in viewership and subscribers way back when we first started, simply by virtue of the fact that they are the de facto people that actually were the ones that were providing all of the budgeting tips and everything for all of the full-time motorhome RVers back then.
Well, I mean, we're not going to be living the Mark and Sue lifestyle.
Right.
But it's going to get us one notch closer. We might can go get something painted on our face at a little carnival. So anyway, we just want to encourage you to use the videos that we've made on our channel to go see Mark and Sue's channel. I think you will you'll be entertained
Yes.
when you watch Sue trying to keep Mark in line.
And then we just happened to have a couple of videos right around the time that they stopped doing that. So it just was a perfect dovetail for
Yeah.
us to rob and steal and
Just kind of
duplicate
worked out.
a lot of their subscribers. So we're on our way to lunch right now.
We did have lunch with Bob and Pearl and enjoyed it so much we met for a bike ride the next day. Funny thing is, Bob and Pearl were ahead of us talking to a couple on the trail, and it turns out they subscribed to their channel. So as we pulled up, Tim and Brenda said they subscribed to us also. What fun! And I'm telling you, there are some friendly people in Yuma. We met Dee and Steve, and then there's Debbie, Bob, Al, and Donna at Westwind RV Resort, and we hooked up with Jason and Lynn for lunch one day. It was all good times.
So while I was in the restroom, kind of had an epiphany, honey.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we learned about Biosphere 1, which is where we're all living, Earth. And then Biosphere 2 was their attempt to come up with some type of a system that could be self-sustaining, similar to Biosphere 1. And it occurred to me that we have this storm coming up where there's going to be 55-mile-an-hour winds, and we're going to have to bring probably at least our full wall slide in. But when we left today, we had our gray full and our black was almost full. So I'm going to have to work on Biosphere 3 when I get home. So we're officially changing the name of our channel from Our Journey in Myles to Our Journey in Biosphere 3.